Dinner in Hell Band!
Dinner in Hell frickin' rock and roll.
Oh, listen to them tearing it up. They sound incredible.
Oh, the audience sounds incredible.
They're looking good, too. Hawaiian Shirt Night was a big hit.
Yeah. Chinese Star Night, too. We handed out Dinner in Hell Chinese stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, under everybody's seat, just like the other stuff.
Throwing stars.
Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, the show where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, the ridiculously magnificent podcaster, Ron Maiden.
The ridiculously healthy co-host, Ron Maiden.
Oh, shit. Comparatively speaking, I might not be sounding my usual sweet, dulcet tones this evening.
He's been playing with sewer rats that he found playing in his lawn.
Yep. And I thought maybe that I had contracted some Yersinia pestis, but evidently just a simple flu, but a little bit of sinus problems. Maybe my voice is a little fucked up. Maybe a cough squeaks through. You're just going to have to live with it.
Welcome to our 61st episode. Last week, our episode about Albert Fish was actually episode 60, although on the show, I said episode 59.
Goddamn interns.
Let it be known that the intern writer behind that goof is currently on his 5th day of being stretched on the rack. Mm-hmm. So rest assured, it's been solved.
Yeah, punishment and justice have been meted out.
So today's program,
Big 6-1, for sure, this time.
I describe it as a simple tale about a young woman with a dream. A dream involving killing her own child and barrels of wine.
Well, maybe those parts weren't necessarily defined as the dream. Maybe that's not how I'd put it down.
They were involved in the dream. I did not make lies here. Listen to the words. A dream. Her dream involving killing her own child and barrels of wine. They're just part of the big dream.
Yeah.
It's a little part of the big dream.
It is. Well, the big dream, though, I would say the woman we're going to discuss today is, you can view her through two very different prisms. On the one hand, we're going to tell you some shit like we usually tell you, and you'll be like, oh, this is a terrible person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She does some bad stuff.
But there's another way to take this one if you're feeling in a lighter mood.
Yeah.
We're talking about a woman. Wu Zetian.
We're talking about silver lining here, BT.
Yeah. We're talking about a Chinese empress.
The one and only.
Yes, the only empress regnant in over 2 millennia. The Chinese Empire.
2 millennia. God.
The only woman to shatter that glass ceiling and be a horrible tyrant over an entire country.
Wu Zetian. How are you saying it? Zetian?
Zetian?
Zetian.
Wu Zetian.
Wu Zetian. Wu Zetian.
That's what... I think we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Wu Zetian.
Wu Zetian.
Got it. I just set you up. After the show, you're going to hear a little Wu Zetian bit. I just had Brett. I'm gonna have the team edit that one down, just like the Xing Shu Hua. I'm gonna have the media editors put it after that in Xing Shu Hua. I might have them do a mashup.
All right, so you ready to get into this lady's life here?
I'm freaking ready.
So Wu Zetian, her name at birth, we do not know, and information is not retrievable any longer. Nobody knows what her name was when she was born.
Destroy all records.
Yeah, all we can tell is that she's from the House of Wu, I guess you'd say. That's the sort of aristocratic family that she belonged to, which is a clue that we're talking about an aristocratic child.
Not to mention hip-hop roots. Wu. The Wu-Tang Clan.
Ain't nothing to fuck with.
You think we're going to do this whole episode and not mention Wu-Tang Clan? We're going to mention Tang in a little bit.
I can think of a Video Store Rewind host who would have been very disappointed in us had we not mentioned the Wu-Tang Clan. What up, Richie?
Okay, so frickin' Wu came from a very wealthy family.
Yes, exactly. An aristocratic family, the House of Wu. They're nobles. Somewhere in the Wenshui County, which is sort of in north-central China, February 17, 624. Both of her parents were from powerful families. So, I mean, you can imagine a sort of Game of Thrones kind of vibe among all of these people, I guess.
Her dad was...
He was involved...
Robert Baratheon?
Yeah. Well, he was in the timber game. He was a timberman, but very wealthy. And over his life, he would hold several prominent sort of governorships as an aristocrat, as a noble. After the Tang dynasty specifically was established.
Hell yeah. Tang, Wu-Tang, there you go.
Nobody to fuck with, I'm telling you.
Foreshadow complete.
Her mother was from the very prominent Yang family, who was also real tight with the emperor. And they're hanging out together socially. This is like the king's social crowd. Also his subjects, but also his friends.
Yeah. When she was born, wasn't there a sign from Buddha?
Well, the year she was born, I don't know if specifically Buddha had anything to do with this one, but there was a full solar eclipse in the year of her birth. Those don't happen all the time.
That's the work of Buddha. May there be a solar eclipse on this woman's birth. He's laughing. That's Buddha's voice. You guys all
rubbing his big old back. Yeah. I like the big Buddha.
Yeah, but that's his voice. No one really knows this, but Buddha's voice is more like a, listen to me. Is that bad? Should I not say that?
I don't know.
Am I going to get beheaded?
I don't think the Buddhist extremists will come to give you peace and tranquility against your will.
I think Buddhists are pretty peaceful, right? We have Buddhas in our house. We're a house of peace.
Yeah. Buddhists are pretty peaceful, except for evidently in Myanmar, where they're genociding the Rohingya Muslims. But back to ancient China.
We're talking about ancient history here, man, not current history.
Yeah, so her family, extremely rich and powerful. Wu, little Wu, does not have any responsibilities. They're servants for everything. There was no need for her to ever learn or take interest in any domestic tasks, like, sewing or cooking or cleaning. She never had to do any of that shit.
Pumping gas in the car herself. She's like, how do the nozzle? I don't know where do I put Portland, or didn't like Oregon?
She was like a pre-apocalypse Oregonian.
Yeah, didn't Oregon have a problem with like doing their gas? They were allowed to do self-serve gas now.
Yeah, like they were like nobody. This should not be done by non-trained personnel. Sorry to our Oregon listeners, but I assume by now, after you've done it a couple times, you realized how if that was you've realized how foolish you've been.
No kidding. Like my kid could do that. Like.
Yeah, I was doing that shit when I was like 10, and my dad didn't feel like getting out of the car in the winter.
Hey, I gotta say something. I take back my Buddha comment. Now you got me fucking terrified that Buddha's friggin' militants are gonna come to my town and friggin' decorate my house with my guts.
Just don't be a minority in Myanmar, and you're probably good.
Okay. So at age 14, the Emperor Taizong He summoned her to his palace to be his imperial concubine.
Indeed. I mean, she was probably very charming to him. I mean, a lifetime of not doing any work. She didn't just laze around, though. She was rabidly consuming information. She was really into politics. She studied government affairs, writing, literature, music, you name it. She was all over it. And like I said before, this was his social crowd. He was basically kind of the boss of and friends with her parents. So he was probably coming over to hang out, have some kind of business, maybe do a little business, maybe chill out a little bit. And he's like, oh, your daughter's awesome. I'm going to just take her with me back to the palace, and she's going to be one of my many, many wives.
And let me just remind you, I did say at the age of 14.
Yeah, little young there, maybe.
I'm taking your daughter. God damn it.
And as you can imagine, hearing that information might be very distressing to the young Wu girl's parents.
No shit. I looked up concubine to see exactly what it meant. In polygamous societies, a woman who lives with a man but has lower status than his wife or wives, or a mistress. So come over here, you 14-year-old mistress now. Get over here.
Yeah, like a not secret mistress.
Yeah, like, I'm going to have your daughter be my concubine. You understand, right? Yeah? You want to go kill yourself now? Yeah? Don't you hate me?
Oh, and there's nothing you can do about it, by the way. Because
like,
I'm the one person who's in charge of everything.
Yeah, now bow to me.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, I'm taking your daughter. Tell me thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Whew.
Well, as she was leaving, her mother was just weeping. She was losing it. She didn't want to see her daughter go. And who could blame her? But this is how you really get to know this woman, her drive, her ambition. What she tells her weeping mother is, how do you know that it is not my fortune to meet the Son of Heaven? Meaning, like, don't worry about it. I'm going to use this to my advantage. Hey, Mom, chill out. I'm making moves here.
Or, how do you know it isn't my fate? Like, who are you to say whether it is or it isn't? I'm saying it is. Who are you to say that it isn't my freaking fate to become king shit?
Yeah.
Queen shit.
Yeah, she's saying, like, don't worry about me. I'm fucking in this shit. It's like, if this were Game of Thrones, a sort of ancient Chinese Game of Thrones, what she's saying is, hey, like, I want this. I want to play. I want to be in the game.
Okay.
Yeah. That's how I see it anyway. I think fucking kind of badass. She's also maybe a psychopath.
She was badass. We will learn.
So, at that statement, her mother understood her ambition. She knew that her daughter was basically telling her, like, don't worry, I got this. And she calmed down. Shit, who knows that Wu didn't set up getting summoned? That may have been her plan all along. If you see, once you get to know her a little bit more, she was pretty calculating and very intelligent, probably smarter than the Emperor.
At age 14, all of this.
Yeah. Yep. At age 14, I was like sitting in my room playing like the Ocarina of Time and shit on my Nintendo 64. I was not making moves.
I was probably playing Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Metroid, or something like that.
I'm trying to remember how far I would generally get in Punch-Out, and I never beat that game. I can tell you that much.
You punch in the code to fight Tyson, but you never get to Tyson.
Oh yeah, I don't think I could ever get
like
there.
The second bald bull or something. You know?
Yeah, that was where I would usually flame out.
So let's talk about her life in the palace.
Okay, so a little bit. We've talked about the aristocratic system a little bit. Well, to break it down just a little bit, the nobility at this time in China would have been organized into basically a hierarchy of 9 levels. It's like 9 ranks with the emperor at the top and like the lowest people at the 9th. Her, as a concubine, she would have been on the 5th rung. So this is not near the top, but she's not started from the bottom. Now we're here. She can't say that. She can't say that. Claim that. But she's in the middle. Not great, but she's got a decent start here. She's got her foot in the door. She wasn't very prominent. She wasn't really the emperor's favorite right out of the gate. Both politically and socially, she didn't enjoy very much prominence. Though the two were married, even sexually, she didn't rank on the top for the emperor. They only shared a bed once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just one time.
That goes against our opinion on the whole concubine definition.
Well, I to be honest with you, too, I think there's an awful lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I think most of them spend the bulk of their time, like, making beds and taking out chamber pots and running baths and cooking and mending shit. You know what I'm saying? Like clean. I think they're just kind of, they work there basically.
We have to come up with a dinner in hell assumptions drop. What's our problem? Because like we assumed that it was like not. I assumed that it was. I don't know.
Like they were like taken care of.
Like it was one-on-one. Like he had his wife and his concubine.
Oh,
so, no. And it was like nonstop.
No, there are many concubines.
Okay. I thought she'd be busy all the time.
Yeah, he does have a favorite concubine. It's just not her.
Right.
Yeah, there's like, I'm sure he's got a few that he visits much more often. But yeah, there's lots of concubines. It's not like, I'm sure he picks one up every house he visits, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had an ambitious yet violent soul.
Oh, yeah. They would not thwart her ambitions forever because of that. She had that fire, that drive. She was eventually able to impress the emperor with her courage. She recounted this eventually. This is her words when she was berating one of her chancellors after she takes over. She told him, Emperor Taizong had a horse with the name Lion Stallion, and it was so large and strong that no one could get on its back. I was a lady-in-waiting attending Emperor Taizong, and I suggested to him, I only need 3 things to subordinate it. An iron whip, an iron hammer, and a sharp dagger. I will whip it with the iron whip. If it does not submit, I will hammer its head with the iron hammer. If it still does not submit, I will cut its throat with the dagger. Emperor Taizong praised my bravery. Do you really believe that you are qualified to dirty my dagger? That's some hard-ass shit right there.
Jesus Christ. You should have did it with a female accent, though. That was kind of...
I can't.
No?
No, I can't. But that's some hard shit, right? That's like fucking some Spartan-level hard-ass talk. Like, I was gonna kill this horse. Like, you're lower than it. Do you think you deserve this dagger as much as that horse? Do you think you're worthy of it as much as the horse was? That's some next level insulting right there.
Dirty my dagger.
Yeah, man, that shit'll put somebody in their place.
Dirty my dagger could be a freaking episode title. So we put a little asterisk next to that. I'm just kidding. Dirty my dagger. Episode about woozation.
No. Actually, it sounds more like a Motley Crue song.
Dirty my dagger. Dirty my dagger. Come on, get it. Dirty my dagger. You'll never forget it.
Exactly. Now, so this emperor up and croaks. He dies. Now, what's supposed to happen to an emperor's concubines once he dies? The ones that haven't borne him children, as the eventual Wu Zetian hadn't, were supposed to go live in a monastery for the rest of their lives, be like sequestered from society. They're like they live a monastic lifestyle. Does that sound like her to you? Something she's gonna be into?
No, but
no, me neither.
On the side note, for some reason I thought that his concubines were supposed to be immured with his corpse. That's what I pictured. No,
I think that was just the first one. I think that was just Qin Shi Huang.
Okay.
Yeah, so that doesn't sound like her to me. I don't think she's going to put up with that. And since she's playing fucking like 3D chess, outthinking everybody in my imagination.
Yeah.
In order to prevent that, before the emperor dies, she begins having an affair with his son and the successor to the throne.
Yep. Now she's using her body as a weapon.
Whatever resources are available to you. And as we say every time the subject comes up on this show, not a good time to be a woman. 624 anywhere blows to be a woman. But she's using the tools that are available to her for sure. So, and also, I don't think she has feelings. So she's probably not suffering from using her body in this way either.
So let's say her doing this affair with the son let's say she's only doing it for this power move. So
yeah,
she's not doing it.
I don't think she's in love.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's agree that she's using her body to the extreme so far. This is, as of right now, this is the most extreme Wu has been. And believe me, she gets a lot more extreme.
So eventually she does get sent to the monastery. Them's the rules. So she goes there, but she basically dips after a little while and just goes to start a new life on the countryside on her own. But she had planted the seed with the new emperor, and he came and found her. See, that I think is another key to her plan. She makes him come find her. Put in work to figure out where she's at and get her to bring her back. Probably because when this happens, she becomes a lot more precious. She's not slotting in down there on the 5th rung as a concubine this time. This dude, Emperor Gaozong, was not having that. This time, she was the Zhao Yi. Not the Empress, but concubine number 1.
Oh, I mean, she was busy doing the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because she's like the Luigi, I guess.
To Mario?
Yeah, to the... if Mario is the Empress, she's Luigi.
Oh, the Empress. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are you talking about?
Some weird, I'm like, you didn't know the Mario Brothers fuck, dude?
What are you trying to tell me here, BT?
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Well, who's a Toad Prince? Like the Toad Princess.
Oh, they use him.
Yeah. I would think that the Emperor would be like Mario.
I'm just saying in a
Wu would be like Yoshi.
Yeah, and this
Luigi would be his wife. What are you talking about?
Well, the Zhao Yi would really... So then another concubine would be like the Lakitu that throws the little things out of the cloud.
What about the little spiked shelled creatures that throws the little hammers like in Super Mario's first one?
Oh, those are...
All right, come on. What are we doing? We're dishonoring the first and only Empress of China.
Okay, so Wu Zetian comes back. She is the Luigi to the Empress's Mario. And she's got a lot more influence now.
Yeah, it's like Sansa's late season Game of Thrones Sansa. I'm not a little dove anymore. I know how this game works. I know what evil is. I've seen it. I know what evil's capable of. And I want to make sure it never happens again. I'm just doing my Sansa.
That's pretty good.
Thanks.
That's pretty good, Sansa.
I just picture Sansa and I just become Sansa. That's my magic.
I see you now walking around with that beautiful fur dress on in Winterfell.
Way taller than like my sisters and shit.
Yeah,
Arya.
on you, I'm not gonna lie, the coat really tight.
Look like Froiken.
Yeah, it does not.
I'm not small. I'm pretty large. Man.
Yeah, it does not fit well. You're a lot larger than Sansa, I think. So I mean, we're like, it's like honestly a little weird. It's like knee height, elbow length. I don't know. It's still pretty badass. So the Empress is in on a lot of this shit too, as far as this goes.
Yeah.
She really didn't like Gao Zong's current favorite concubine before he went and got Wu Zetian. So the Empress is like, yeah, go on, go track her down, bring her back, because the Empress didn't like the other one. Which, man, this has got to be a weird dynamic in this household, don't you think? Because she wasn't so low anymore, she was able to garner much more influence than in her previous tenure in the palace.
Low in the ranks.
Yeah, now she's at the top of the ranks. She's got Gao Zong's attention very often. So during this period of time, the emperor also was pretty young and very inexperienced. A lot of times he would fall ill and have to like recuse himself like to his rooms for long stretches of time.
Yeah.
So there he was kind of a weak leader, which played right into her hands because she had studied constantly politics, the way the Chinese bureaucracy or their aristocracy rather sort of functioned, like the structure of the government. And she kind of honestly knew what would work and shit. She was doing... This is where she starts actually making decisions that affect all of China, basically. Right. Even though she's not the empress, the emperor's like, hey, she knows her shit. I got to go lay down for a couple days. So if anything comes up,
let her handle it.
Or she'll come talk to me. We'll figure it out, and then she'll come tell you what I said. But he'll just agree with whatever she says, I think.
Or he could say one thing and she could be like, he said this.
I don't know. I think that'd get back to him, though.
Yeah. What'd she say? Were you trying to tell me? What'd she say?
Yeah.
Bomb what? I'm just kidding. It's like 600 BC. This is 600 era.
Yeah, they had gunpowder by then, though.
That was just fireworks, though.
Yeah.
Bottle rockets and shit.
Now, if you thought that Empress Wang didn't like the other favorite concubine before, once Wu starts getting her hands in all of the little pies of the government, I imagine Empress Wang starts getting real salty. And maybe it wasn't the other concubine that she hated so much. Maybe it was the fact that she just didn't like his attention being diverted, because Empress Wang turned on Wu just as she had the other, and teamed up with the former favorite concubine to try to get Wu knocked out now.
Yeah.
But she's not as good at the Game of Thrones as Wu was. Not as well read.
Wu already had the next step.
Yeah.
2 steps after this step.
Oh, yeah. So eventually Gao Zong favors Wu over the Empress as well.
Oh.
Tell me about it. That's some like House of Cards type shit. Game of Thrones type shit. Making moves. Winning. She's bad as hell, man.
Man, she must have been something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. She had it all, man. And she was a psychopath, so she was probably like emotionally distant and shit. Like, so he was like, why won't she pay attention to me?
Yeah. She's like CIA special agent. She can handle any task. She's Wu Zetian.
So she wasn't done either. She wasn't happy just being favored. She started when she first came to the palace with 28 women between her and the top. An emperor and then 27 concubines ranked higher than her.
And an empress.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. She had given birth to a daughter of Emperor Gao Zong, and this is where the scheme really heats up. She immediately, upon its birth, strangled it. Her own baby. Daughter. Right after it was born.
Whoa.
See, now, in case you were wondering why earlier, that's why I say she's definitely a psychopath. She does not have any feelings. It's that woo-woo.
And remember when I said, as of right now, using her body to bang her way to the top?
Mm-hmm.
What was the most extreme? Here we are. Extreme it's extreme level 2.
Yeah, this was a part of her plot because she framed the Empress.
That's right. The girl ahead of her.
Yep. So she was at that point down to 28 women between her and the top, and 1. And this worked.
She hands her a dead infant. She's like, "What'd you do?" She's like, "I do not. I'm just you had me a purple baby. What the?"
But the Emperor he believed her.
He's like, "What? You killed my daughter, my infant daughter?"
Yep. He stripped Empress Wang and his former favorite concubine, consort Shao.
Right.
He stripped them of all of their titles.
So they're just regular, no rank, blank slate
Chinese person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he promoted Wu to Empress.
Oh shit! Ching! Now here she is. Look at Wu. All she had to do was kill her baby with her own hands, seconds after birth, and bang a bunch of guys.
Theoretically, no, bang one guy, 2 guys.
Yeah,
2 guys.
The son and the dad.
Yep.
She was 14. Oh god damn it.
So theoretically, this is it. This is the pinnacle for a Chinese woman in the 7th century.
Yeah, because there's never been an empress like that was the leader. There's always been an emperor.
And then the empress is the one that's married to the emperor.
Yeah, it's like crazy talk.
Yeah, so theoretically now she's at the pinnacle.
Yeah.
But for her, nah. No. She's got bigger plans than that.
Now, Empress Wu ordered the deaths of the Empress and the first concubine, right? Or the favorite?
Yes. The Emperor showed signs of leniency. He was going to be merciful and just sort of let them go.
Yeah.
Just like get them out of the palace and then have that be that. But Wu had other ideas.
I imagine the deaths were like quick, simple, and like humane, since they were like, high-ranking royalty at one time.
Now, we've talked about a few psychopath leaders on this show before, haven't we?
1 or 2.
And there were certain things that they all seem to enjoy.
Watching people suffer.
Oh, yeah. And that definitely continues here. The first thing that was done to the former Empress Wang and consort Shao was that their hands and feet were chopped off.
Oh, okay.
I gotta tell you, boy, that's horrible to imagine. That's a lot of pain all at once.
Yeah. I can almost imagine the chopping.
You can almost hear it.
I can almost hear the chopping like someone's chopping a carrot. Screams of pain.
Ooh. Now, they didn't have to suffer forever, though. This isn't the worst torture we've covered. But then, after having hands and feet removed, what was next was them being shoved into a barrel full of wine where they would drown, I imagine, still screaming.
They were like, put the lid on it, mail it, hammer it down.
Yeah, and it's like, not like you can even try to bust your way out because all you got are stumps now.
And then you know what? I hope that she found out that those 2 bottles were her favorite kind of wine, and she totally blew it, she ruined 2 of them. I'm sorry, you said those 2 barrels, Wu. You didn't want to listen to me. I told you, but you didn't want to listen. You said put them in those barrels. I was about to tell you it's your favorite kind.
No. They're not. They're even better now. This is murder wine, baby.
Now you gotta wait 7 more years for your wine. You did this to yourself, Will.
If maybe so. Maybe she did get at least that small comeuppance for this horrible act of evil.
That's so freaking weird, man. Chop off their hands, arms, drown them in a wine barrel.
Yeah, it seems like maybe it's something she was fantasizing about since she was little. Maybe she probably used to do it to like little birds and shit.
What if this is translated differently? And what she did was she put them in barrels and threw them over like a waterfall. Here you go.
Have fun.
With no hands, no feet. You're going over the edge there, fella. You're going bye-bye. Barrel floating down the Dane Cook River.
Oh, look at that Empress go, eh? Look at her go down over the falls there, eh?
Former Empress is hooting and hollering all the way down to the rocks below.
Now, another thing in common is with other stories that we've discussed is the weird finagling about the inheritance of the title.
Right.
People can drop in here.
Yeah.
And obviously, she had to work her way up the totem pole, and he had an Empress already. There's an awful lot of kids in the mix before she gets Gaozong to herself.
Right, Gaozong has sons, or a son, the eldest son at least.
Yes. The title of Crown Prince for the Chinese at this period of time is the heir apparent. So, like, if you're it's like that in Saudi Arabia now. The Crown Prince will be the next one when the king finally dies.
Right, he's the king. Automatic, yeah, right.
I think the Crown Prince now is already running the show.
Right.
So it's the same thing in China here. And the heir apparent at this period of time is his eldest son, but not Wu's eldest son.
Right.
And she convinces Gaozong, rather, to give the title of Crown Prince to her eldest son, Li Hong.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, I guess once you murder one of your own kids, you develop a taste for it, I guess. Because he don't last long. She poisons her eldest son.
Her eldest son?
Correct. She poisons her own son.
Oh, okay. I thought she poisoned his eldest son to make her son next in line. No?
Nope. She just convinced him to switch it to hers, then she murdered the one he switched it to.
Weird.
Well, she doesn't want her kids to take power. She wants it.
Right. She'll kill her own kids to get there.
And I imagine the way she convinced him to switch it was like, look how competent and good he would be at it. Look at how great he'll be as the next emperor. He's way better than this other one. So, title switches. He's super capable and great. So she knocks him out of the mix.
Yeah.
Now he can't go back to his oldest son because he's already disgraced him by taking the title away from him.
It's like her son helped her, is on the same tribe on Survivor and helped win the competition for the food.
Yeah, but then just got sacrificed out.
But then the mom realizes he's got great physical strength and it's going to win every challenge. So she has to like vote out the guy that helped win the food competition.
The backstabbing.
That's how I picture it, yeah.
Yeah. Except, the Survivor example is probably a little bit more severe than this one. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, Li Hong, come give me your torch. You're dead.
Then drink this poison and die immediately.
You're dead to us. Literally.
And everyone else. And she also, as soon as she had the real power as Empress, not the real power, but I mean, compared to where she was before then, an even greater influence, no one to check her basically, because the Emperor, I think, kind of is going along with mostly what she tells him at this point. She is famous for revenge. I mean, people were getting demoted and banished to remote regions of the country left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was just like, you're fucking not an aristocrat anymore. You're a normie. Get out. Left anybody who had given her any shit basically got the heave-ho. Which, I mean, you can't blame her. I'd probably do the same thing.
And okay. Sounds like Hitler to me. Shit.
How's that sound like Hitler?
I guess not. Out. And more sounds like the American leader. If you don't like me, get out.
No, what I'm saying is like, all right, so basically, if I'm running a country, right? The way the nobility works is like you're in charge of like the southwest part of it. Mm-hmm. If I can't trust you to give me the taxes that I'm supposed to be getting, if I can't trust you not to raise troops and attack me, and if I can't trust you not to, fucking ruin the place and kill a bunch of people or cause a famine or God knows what.
You like start a coup?
Yeah, it's my responsibility to make a responsible person, someone that I can trust, run that area.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd do the same thing if I was a monarch.
Gotcha. You make a good monarch, dude.
I would be a benevolent ruler.
I was thinking benevolent. That took the word out of my mouth.
Provided you don't cross me.
I'd be your freaking hand, bro.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I'd be the hand. What are you talking about?
I'd be
cross you.
If you're ever in charge, can I be like Varys? Can I be the spider? I'll have like the spy network that I'll deal with.
Oh yeah, you're right. No,
I don't want to do administrative shit.
No, if you were
I'll be your medieval CIA, dude.
If you were the king, the benevolent monarch king.
Yeah.
Then I would be the hand to you.
Yeah, I'm saying if you're ever the king, I don't want to be the hand. I'm not a good administrator.
Gotcha.
Let me be like Varys. I'd like to keep my genitals, though, if possible.
And hair.
That's negotiable.
Her second son gets a promotion.
After Li Hong dies, her second eldest son, Li Shan, receives the title and responsibilities of the crown prince. I mean, the sons of Consort Shao and other of Gaozong's sons were repeatedly accused of crimes. Like, she would basically just be like, he's stealing, he's raping people, he's murdering people. You're demoted, get out.
He had improper thoughts.
Yeah, all of the other sons, she would one by one ruin their reputations and then banish them. Basically, single-handedly.
Frame them, hire like whores to like go to his chambers and then like get shit out of him, or you know what I mean, set him up.
I don't even know if it went that far. She never, the sources that I consulted never mentioned her doing the crimes and then framing these people for them. Just repeatedly, publicly accusing them of crimes, and then after like 3 or 4 times, she'd just be like, "That's like 4 things. You're terrible. You're demoted. Get out." It was working, so it must have been a good plan. I mean, that's not super different today. People just say whatever on TV, and then nobody's ever held accountable for it. People believe weird shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. The sorcerer Ming Chongyan, whom was respected by Gaozong, had divined that Li Shan, this new crown prince, was not capable of taking the throne. So, funny thing, a little bit later, the sorceress Ming winds up being assassinated.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and it's possible or likely that Wu either committed or set the machinations in motion for this assassination to take place. Basically, she's responsible for it. Wu Zetian's responsible for this sorcerer's assassination, but maybe she thought, like, spicing things up this time. She didn't directly murder her third child now. She just frames him for that murder.
God damn it. So she's done so much so far. I think she's not done.
Yeah, she is not done at all. he had the same thing happen to him that all the rest of the Emperor's sons did. I mean, she framed him for it, and then publicly, very loudly discussed it, stripped him of all of his titles, and told him to hit the bricks.
Yeah.
Now, this gets the Crown Prince title down to her third son, Li Jie. At this point, the Emperor Gaozong dies. Now, sometimes there's long, sort of drawn-out struggles with the inheritance, right?
Right.
Not this time, because the Emperor had a will, and in his will it says, Li Jie ascends to the emperorhood immediately. So there was no controversy. I wonder if Wu set that up, you think? I wonder if she maybe had a hand in the writing of that will?
It's in her writing. She wrote it with her left hand.
Now, he was young, so Wu was Empress Regent at this period of time. I think this might be a good opportunity for Dinner in Hell going deep.
Dinner in Hell going deep.
Now, because the Emperor was so young, Li Jie, his mother, Wu Zetian, ruled like for him. Like everybody knows, like he's the emperor, but I'm the Empress Regent. Like there is a big Game of Thrones corollary here. Like, do you remember when Tommen was the king,
Joffrey's brother,
but Cersei is making all of the decisions. Tommen's not even really paying attention. In that case, she's the Empress Regent. She's not the one who's in charge. She's temporarily holding the power.
I think the author of Game of Thrones has read every story that we've ever read.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Jeez, it's so similar.
I mean, the other thing that's similar, which she becomes later on, is an Empress Regnant, which means no emperor. She's the main person. She's the only one, and she holds all the power.
Mm-hmm. So it complicates things when Gaozong dies.
Mm-hmm. And the kid was young. She's making the decisions, but as a regent, she wouldn't be locked into doing that forever. There's going to be an expiration date on that power. And from what you know from her so far, she ain't going to like that. Also, this young emperor seemed to be very wrapped around the finger of his new wife. Like father, like son, I suppose. He also started showing signs of insolence toward his mother. Like, he's like, wait a minute, I'm the emperor. Why are you fucking doing this shit? I can start to make some decisions. Or, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
So his reign as emperor lasted for a whopping 6 weeks.
He starts to disobey his mother.
Gotta always listen to your mom. That's a given.
Especially if it's her.
Yeah, especially if she's already killed 3 of your siblings.
Well, not to mention the infant.
Mm-hmm.
Was that 3 of them?
Yeah.
Wow.
So eventually, she conspires with some of the generals and other officials that are, loyal to her. And she deposes her son and exiles him initially. After some time, she thinks, you know what, I better be safe. And she sends one of her generals out to talk to her son, the former emperor. Well, talk to might not be the exact word. What this general does is force him to kill himself.
Jesus Christ. I was thinking when I was researching this show, we should do an episode of Worst Moms. You know what I mean?
Oh, she could definitely be in there. Agrippina for sure.
Like bad mom decisions, like Albert Fish's mom taking him to the orphanage to witness the kids getting whipped.
All of the people who sent their young daughters up to Countess Erzsébet.
Oh my god! Yeah, we got a show coming. Bad parenting. Dinner in Hell, bad parenting coming up. Episode 100.
Oh, there's and that will have to be a series.
Yeah. So she sends a messenger out to force him to commit suicide. Here's a noose. Hang it over your frickin' thing. Pole. I don't know. How does he... Oh, probably with a knife or something. Eat this gunpowder and I'll light it.
Now, the new emperor that comes... The next emperor is basically totally a figurehead. He is totally imprisoned within the inner chambers of the palace. He's never let out. He never takes place in any official functions. It's basically, I mean, there's nothing left to it. No public appearances, and Wu rules directly. It used to be she tells the emperor what to say, the emperor says it. Now she's calling the shots directly. And it's not long at all before she forces abdication and takes the throne herself. And this establishes a new dynasty.
Boom.
The Zhou dynasty.
Boom.
In her name.
That's crazy.
This is I guess this is kind of the cool part, because this is really an incredible feat.
Yeah.
I mean, she's obviously terrible.
What it took for her to get there.
Yeah, she's obviously terrible, but this society is brutal. Much like Rome, when we're talking about like Nero and Caligula and shit.
This is a male-dominated title, let alone society.
Yeah, and she is the only woman who did this, basically in the entire history of China.
Look at what it took. The sacrifices.
Or just it took a person that fucking sick and evil to do it.
Her body, her children, cutting arms, hands, and legs off, put them in a wine barrel.
Any semblance of innocence.
Like, Jesus. And here she is. Now she made it.
Yeah, she is the Empress Regnant. She's the sole one in charge. And, you know, she accomplished some shit during her reign. I mean, some bad things, some good things. She was the origin of a lot of terror. I mean, as you can imagine, the type of personality she had, she established her own secret police. Generally, that's not a good sign if you're a citizen of the country, if there's a secret police that are operating, that are loyal to one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, generally there's a lot of torture and kidnappings and executions with no trials that go along with a situation like that.
Murder wine parties.
Yeah, maybe they're reprising that. But she did shit like she put mailboxes on all government buildings.
Yeah.
And she encouraged citizens to inform on one another through those mailboxes. Shades of Nazi Germany there.
I was thinking more like suggestions for like how they think something should happen. Like, I really think there should be a bakery here in the town center. It would be really nice. There's other town has a bakery.
Or, you know, when we walk on this side of the road, maybe we could get some cobblestones. No, I don't think that was...
Yeah. We were down in a different town down the way, and they had cobblestones. It's not impossible, Miss Wu.
No, that was not with the information that was being collected in those mailboxes.
It was like, so-and-so delivered old milk to my milk box, my milk chute.
Well, I think it would be more like so-and-so said something this bad about you. Chop him off, put him in a wine barrel.
What do you say? Oh, man, you're going to make killer wine, bro.
Like I said, not all bad, though. She did a lot for developing the Chinese language. She introduced her own set of characters, which I believe remain in use.
That's cool.
She conquered a lot and expanded the territory of China quite a bit, especially on the Korean peninsula during this period of time. She saw a period of military success.
It's okay, peninsula.
She reformed agriculture and taxation that improved the lives of the common people in China a bit. I mean, most monarchs don't do that, I don't think. They're not out to help the regular people. I mean, and not all of her kids shake out all wrong. Her youngest child, Li Dan, he gets to be the crown prince. So he's set up to take over when she dies. But as we've seen with these psychopathic leaders, that we encounter from time to time, they're generally not too concerned with the affairs of the country. They use it as a tool to have fun, a hedonistic device for themselves. That's kind of what they're up to, it seems like. And she's no different. She began to sort of neglect the kingdom. I mean, like Nero did. I don't care about this. Burn that shit. I want a giant house here for me. She was kind of doing the same thing, not paying careful attention. Lighting cigars with rolled up burning money. Mm-hmm. Yen. She's got 100 yen all on fire, lighting the cigar up. It's fuck it. Sprays Cristal all over when she has parties. It's I don't give a shit. It's a murder wine bottle. Yeah. Vintage. Becoming the Empress regnant wasn't the only way she flipped the rules of the prevailing society as far as gender goes on their head. The emperor had concubines. The Empress had young lovers herself. Get over here. And basically, that's all she would do. She would just have an orgies with all her young lovers that she would acquire from the kingdom that she liked. Yeah, I think your son's going to be my concubone. Concubone. I like that. Bone. Concubone. Even concubone. Better. Your son's how old? 14. That's of age in my book. I was 14 when I was a concubine. Dinner in Hell band name edition. Wu Zhe Shen and the Concubones. Oh, Concubones. That's genius, Ron. Wu Zhe Shen and the Concubones. Hell yeah. Their first 45, my grandma had it. Mm-hmm. I remember as a kid seeing the Wu Zhe Shen and the Concubones record. It's like doo-wop. It's it's nostalgic when you brought that up. It made me think of being a kid again. Yeah. And again, Li Dan, youngest son, you might have been thinking, oh, but something's going to happen to him in the end. What does Li Dan get? You know what he gets? His mom's like, oh yeah, I guess you're right. I'm not paying attention to any of this shit anymore. I'm just going to retire. And she lets Li Dan take over while she's still alive. And she just dies peacefully shortly after that, living a fucked up, horrible, sort of interesting life. Okay. Now, this may be a Dinner in Hell going deep moment. Another one? Dinner in Hell going deep. According to an article on the Smithsonian website, not until 705 when she was more... I'm reading what they wrote. Okay. Not until 705 when she was more than 80 years old was Wu finally overthrown by yet another son, one whom she had banished years before, the one you said. Mm-hmm. Her one mistake had been to marry this boy to a concubine nearly as ruthless and as ambitious as herself. See? Throughout 15 dismal years in exile, her son's consort had talked him out of committing suicide and kept him ready to return to power. Well, I mean, if you remember... Is this the guy that was... Yeah, they got exiled, because when she exiled him after only 6 weeks because she didn't like how tied up with his wife he was. Yeah. She was playing him like a fiddle, and his mom was like, God damn it, I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. But she didn't give up. She kept with it, yeah. Son of a bitch. Damn, it's interesting. That's almost like there's a sequel to this one. Yeah, could be. Episode 674. So it's not often we have a female subject for a thing, and this was a very interesting one. Yeah, history too often from a male, well, also European perspective. This would be I think it would be a good episode converted to a movie that would be directed by Tarantino, with the revenge aspect and the rise, and you'd be rooting for the villain, kind of. Uh-huh. You'd be rooting for the violent one that killed their child.
as a baby. Like, you'd be like, what? That's how the movie would open. Like, what? And then it would flash back to her as a kid, and then you catch back up to where she's at, and she's like killing her adult kids. Like, whoa, this chick, and then she's at the top.
No,
down at the people.
It'd be a pretty good movie, but it would have made a better TV show like 6 or 7 years ago when anti-heroes were really, really big. Like, put this on AMC after Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Musicians climb to the top. A ruthless struggle.
Concubone AMC Wednesdays.
Concubone.
8/9/7 Central.
Yeah, it reminds me of that kind of. She's like a ruthless anti-hero. At least in my mind's eye.
Yeah, this episode had a little of everything. Good, bad, girl power.
Yeah.
I want to mention some listens that we have, listeners that have played us in different countries. We had some new countries recently.
Well, a big week in France. Je t'aime.
Je t'aime. Bonsoir. For real. We had Belgium, Taiwan, and Tanzania check in. That was from like the next stretching episode on. I think I'm going to go out on a limb and think Tanzania might have checked that one. I don't know.
What's up, Tanzania? Welcome aboard.
Belgium, Taiwan. But the thing that struck me is seeing the cities that have been there since we started.
Mm-hmm.
Ashburn, Virginia.
What up?
Powder Springs, Georgia.
You know it.
Alexander, North Carolina.
Woo!
Mountain View, California.
Mountain View.
Houston, Texas. Traverse City, Michigan.
Cherries.
And Taylor, Michigan. Like, since we first started, that's like awesome, dude. It's like but the thing is they've heard us from our very start to now. I feel like we're way better now. I think the show is rounded out.
I think so too. I'd agree with you on that one.
Like, as far as like fluidity in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And
pacing,
yeah. And quality of the sound, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think the band is better now. Tighter, at least.
Maybe just a little bit. They've always been the best in the business, so there's nobody to really compare them to.
But yeah, man, thanks for listening this whole time. It's cool to see.
Also, what's up, Minnesota? Oh my moly, last week.
Minnesota, man, this dude went nuts. This person, don't know who it was.
Well, welcome aboard. We're big fans of yours.
I have a trivia question about this episode for you.
Okay.
Let's see if you can get this one. We just discussed Empress Wu's story, and we mentioned the Tang dynasty in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
True or false? The Wu-Tang Clan got their name from this episode of Dinner in Hell.
Well, it's well known that Old Dirty Bastard or ODB or
Baby Jesus.
One of the other things that he changed his name to is a time traveler.
Right.
So seems plausible. I'm gonna have to say true. Final answer.
It's false. The Wu-Tang Clan got their name from a movie called Shaolin and Wu-Tang. That's what a Google result.
Well, that's what they say.
But how? Oh, do you think the Old Dirty Bastard is actually from the future? Came back to like 91 and wrote a rap album or whenever the Wu-Tang Clan's from? Like, we're gonna call ourselves Wu-Tang Clan. You'll see when Dinner in Hell comes out. You'll see.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened.
Frickin'. I had an idea of who would advertise on our show, who would benefit most advertising on our show. And
the International Monetary Fund? The Dow Jones Stock Index?
No, I'm being serious. This is serious. If you're listening, or if you know someone who has this kind of service, there's a lot of people out there that want to host podcasts and be podcast services. We joke at the end. We're like, yeah, check us out on Pod Royalty. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't hurt them to get in touch with us to mention them on our show. I mean, the people that listen to our show mainly listen on Stitcher, iTunes, the common ones. But if someone had a new one and they're trying to get people to hear, like to check them out, it wouldn't hurt for them to be mentioned on our show, like at the end or in the middle.
Yeah, especially if it's one of the ones that we've invented off the top of our heads already.
No, I'm being serious.
I mean, check out Escape Pod.
Escape Pod. That's a good one. I like to just...
Sensory undeprivation pod.
I go in Escape Pod and I just like zone out when I listen to podcasts on Escape Pod. That's a good one. No, I'm trying to be serious though.
Yeah, if you got one out there, give us money and we'll talk about
seriously, who's gonna freaking? I mean, who else? What else would you advertise on a podcast? I mean, if you're like a weed podcast, you'd be like, check out so and so's vape pens, bro. You're gonna get so baked, or you know what I mean?
Well, it's always the same thing. It's always like Casper Mattress is big on them. Amazon.
On podcasts?
Yeah.
What'd you say Amazon for?
They advertise on podcasts.
Dollar
Shave Club.
Oh, they do too?
Oh, hell yeah. Dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, get in touch. What the hell? I don't know. Like,
I mean, we're talking. You can reach literally dozens of people if you go with us.
No, we get freaking a lot of plays. I checked. Like total on every format. It's crazy. It's cool. But I was thinking, how can we get them to pay for our hosting so it doesn't cost us any money?
It'd be dope.
Yeah. So think about it.
Well, if you have any reason that you would like to give us money, a good place to talk to us is on Twitter at Dinner and Hell Pod.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook. We're on SoundCloud. We're on YouTube.
Stitcher,
iTunes. Fucking you name it. We're on that shit. We already dropped a couple fake podcast names in there.
as usual. We talked about a woman who had a goal and she got there. She reached it. Oozation.
Got any ideas for topics? Feel free to hit us up and let us know. We'll get them done too.
Yep.
The audience, man.
This freaking band is tight.
Incredible. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night. Zetian. How are you saying it? Zetian?
Zetian? Zetian.
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 How are you saying it?
Shin.
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 Shin. How are you saying it? Zetian?
Zetian.
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 I think we're saying the same thing.
Got it.